it's an interesting signing. I've seen some stuff on social media saying some Celtic fans aren't sure about it, but he's a talented player. Whenever I've seen him, he's got huge potential. Obviously, hasn't really worked out for him at Norwich, but I think going up to Celtic and playing under Brendan Rodgers will be beneficial for the player as well, and he'll be hoping to go up there, hit the ground running, scores the goals to maybe help Celtic retain the Scottish Premier League title as well. So I think for Adam Idah, it's a big opportunity for him, and I'm sure it's an opportunity he'll be looking to grasp with both hands. And for Celtic themselves, I think.
And Cameron Carter-Vickers penned a new long-term deal fairly recently. There was some interest, as we know, in this January transfer window from some Premier League clubs. Are we expecting more bids in the summer peak? Can we potentially see him moving from the Scottish Premiership down to the Premier League?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. Obviously, it was a big boost for Celtic to tie him down to that new long-term contract, and obviously for Carter-Vickers, it was improved personal terms for him as well, so to keep him happy. But if he continues to impress for Celtic, there's no doubts that Premier League clubs will come calling for the American international at some point. Obviously, he was at Tottenham, but he never really had much of a look in during his time with the club, and he ended up going up to Celtic, and that's where we've seen the best of Carter-Vickers. But I do imagine if come the summer, there will be a few Premier League clubs who are looking to bolster centre-back. Carter-Vickers will be a name that will be on their lists. But for Celtic's point, they'll be hoping to keep hold of him, because they'll be hoping another Champions League campaign next season, if they are in the Champions League, could persuade the player to stay as well. So when it does come down to it, unfortunately for the likes of Celtic and Rangers, they're not able to compete with the Premier League clubs in England, and the money that's on offer and the transfer fees that might be paid by the Premier League clubs. Celtic and Rangers find it hard to turn down, and that's why it's hard to keep hold of your best players in the end.
One player, Paul, to mention, actually, Joe Hart, 36 now. His contract expires end of the season. Do you think he should extend his stay? Would he be a good number 2 potentially for a number 1 coming in the summer? What are your thoughts? Or should he move on at the end of the season?
Well, it depends what his aspirations are. And at 36, if you wanted to play first team football, there's been talk that Brendan Rodgers is going to replace him for a while. His form's not been at the level that you would expect it week in and week out. I think a few Celtic fans, there's been a few moans about the way that he's played at times. Listen, he's still a top quality goalkeeper and he can still do a job. Whether he's ready to sit on the bench and be a number 2, because at that age, when you've been a number 1 the majority of your life, you look at the career he's had at Manchester City, at Burnley. Yes, he was number 2 at Tottenham. If you're willing to accept that role as a number 2, he went back up north of the border to Celtic, rejuvenated his career like a lot of English goalkeepers have done. You look at what Fraser Forster did when he went up there as well. They've been fantastic. And Jack Butland at Rangers this year, he's having an excellent season. And I think it's been it's not a safe haven for English goalkeepers who maybe gone through a bit of a bad time. They've gone up to Scotland and they've excelled. And I think Joe Hart has done that and he's been fantastic. It's for him personally, whether he wants to accept the role as a number 2 and be that mentor, which, I mean, you look at what Scott Carson's doing at Manchester City. I mean, he's a number 3. The important thing for English teams is to have that Englishman in the squad, and a number 3 goalkeeper, regardless of what age you're at, ticks a box. You know, you look at Grant at Manchester United, who's done it for a long time. You look at a lot of clubs' number 3s, it's an old English goalkeeper, an older English goalkeeper with the experience. And I think Joe Hart will tick that box at some point if he wants to elongate his career. But on the subject of goalkeepers, while we're there, Nottingham Forest, I'm just hearing they've stepped up their interest in Matt Sells from Strasbourg, 31-year-old goalkeeper. 6 Belgian caps. He's an experienced goalkeeper at 31, but they're clearly not happy and they want a quick fix. Matt Turner and Vlachodimos, we all know that Nuno was a goalkeeper. Espirito de Santo was a goalkeeper himself. He's come in, he's rotated Turner and Vlachodimos, and we know that a goalkeeper is something that Forest have looked at. And at the moment, it looks like Sells is a quick fix for him. Sorry to change the subject.
No, not at all. They're very, very well talking about. But we're definitely one to keep an eye on. Same with Joe Hart too. I think both of those moves, both short term and long term, are actually really interesting.
You've just watched a segment from Football Insider's brand new podcast, The Inside Track, with me, Lewis Pearce, alongside the guests on the show. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do give the video a like, comment your thoughts on the topic, and feel free to share on your social media pages. If you want to listen to the full podcast episode, click the link in the description below. Keep your eyes peeled for plenty more content and exclusives here on The Inside Track.